Can you be both successful and miserable?
So don't fuck with me, phony white bitch!
I don't feel white.
Be both a princess and a prisoner?
Complete racist. You are black.
Let's dive into today's topic. It's hard to explain. Inherently, it's just always been strange. Neither here nor there. Always somewhat out of place everywhere. Somewhere halfway. Feeling there's no one completely the same.
Oh, this is a white girl. She sounds black. Oh no, it's a black girl, but she isn't. She's white. No, she isn't. I think she's mine. I think she's one. I think she's a... So, what are you?
My mother is Irish. A person, first and foremost. My mother is Irish. My father is Venezuelan and black.
Okay.
So I'm...
You have heard it here. Would y'all please stop discussing this girl's race?
I think we really take for granted now, especially with streaming. There was a time when rock was rock and roll, pop music was pop music, R&B was R&B, hip hop was hip hop, and you didn't blur those lines. Certain radio stations wouldn't play hip hop. Mariah Carey, you made it cool for rappers to jump on R&B tracks, on pop tracks. You were one of the pioneers of this.
For the first half of the 1990s, Mariah Carey was trapped in a tug-of-war between the urban-inspired music she intuitively gravitated towards and the adult contemporary cookie-cutter category Columbia knew was more financially feasible. Her debut single Vision of Love showcased the R&B sounds Mariah fought to include, and although it went to #1 on the Black chart first,
That song went #1 on the R&B charts, which were then called the Black charts, first. Right. Before it went #1 on the pop charts, because it really isn't a pop record.
the label continuously pushed Mariah towards conventional pop.
So many people have always just gone like, oh, Mariah makes music that black people enjoy, everyone enjoys, but she's not black. People who you wanted to belong to sometimes didn't even know that you were part of the tribe.
Mariah was routinely pushed away from R&B, to instead reside within the pristine, cookie-cutter world of adult contemporary pop. She tried embracing her mixed-race background, but the media, and more importantly Columbia, often misrepresented her as a white soul singer. And, more distressingly, she was increasingly viewed as a plastic soul singer. Many critics viewed Music Box as sanitized and limp. To remain relevant was to remain within the safe sounds of perfectly packaged commercial escapism. Mariah desired to be a star, but had ended up like a Disney princess and at the cost of her identity. However, no empire can rule forever, and the revolution of hip-hop was thundering at the gates of the pop kingdom, threatening everyone's power.
Music changed society was with the birth of rap. When NWA came along, they were like the Beatles in many ways. They changed the whole universe. Suddenly all the white kids were screaming, "F the police," you know? And that was very dangerous. The music industry is in fact afraid of music and the power that music has to change the world. So the industry worked very hard to silence rap.
Mariah states in her memoir that Mottola always wanted to wash the urban, translation black, off me. What started as an ironclad safety from her family became an ironclad dungeon. However, as controlling as the executives were, they could not control the tidal wave of youth culture. Just like Patti LaBelle, Whitney or Aretha Franklin were forced to adapt to the pop commercial 80s, record labels had to adapt to the urban 90s. Mottola knew Mariah had a track record for writing #1s. Concessions were reluctantly made and power began to shift, just as work on Carey's next album, Daydream, began. The Girl Next Door image was still utilised in #1 smashes like Always Be My Baby, or covers like Open Arms. However, with the inclusion of Boyz II Men on One Sweet Day or the Genius of Love sample on Fantasy, a new side of Mariah was beginning to gingerly emerge. However, it would be the remix to Fantasy that would shatter everything. Produced by Puff Daddy, the remix featured Wu-Tang Clan member ODB, who was apparently smuggled in with the help of a few cool A&R folks to the recording studio. The sound was in direct opposition to the carefully conceived blueprint of Carey.
Mariah Carey and the hip hop artists are doing something together, all of a sudden someone's eyes are now open to something that they were really not used to listening to or seeing, but it's because of Mariah Carey, hip hop and pop.
Now, there had been a growing trend to include hip hop into mainstream pop and R&B sounds. Shaka Khan's 1984 hit I Feel For You featured Grandmaster Mel, and Mary J. Blige was merging hip hop beats with traditional soulful singing. However, the commercial success of Fantasy was groundbreaking. It became the first song by a woman to debut at number 1 on the Hot 100 and spent 8 weeks at the top of the charts, with Mariah stating the remix contributed to half the sales. Fantasy's enormous heavy rotation dominance, both in radio and MTV, left an indelible mark on music trends.
You know, Mariah Carey's been pioneering this. She's been, she's a pop singer, R&B style singer. And she's been having hip hop in her music with ODB and all these other rappers.
The New York Times acknowledges that Fantasy helped pioneer a subgenre often known as the thug love duet. MTV News correspondent John Norris remarked, "It wasn't just a pop singer and a rapper, but the sweetest pop singer, and as gritty of an East Coast rapper that we had at the time, and competing labels were keen to match the formula." While the New York stated that Mariah created a standard where starlets were now expected to combine melodies with rap verses. A successful template had been perfected, and as a result, a new trend would soon take over.
That one remix was responsible for, I would argue, an entire wave of music that we've seen since, and that is the pop hip-hop collaboration. You could argue that that Fantasy remix was the single most important recording that she ever made.
However, not everyone bought into the new sounds. Because Mariah was strategically marketed as a wholesome, Celine Dion-esque diva, many viewed the new remix as inauthentic. After years of being misrepresented as a white woman with soul, many found this new sound artificial. The branding of Mariah by Columbia still had one major goal: to obscure Carey's race. BuzzFeed notes that the black and white portrait of Carey on the album cover of Music Box rendered her brownness invisible, and it can be argued that the similar Daydream cover had a similar goal. One of the harshest critics was comedian Sandra Bernhard, who really dug into Carey in her comedy special, joking that Mariah was
Backtrack on our asses, getting real niggish up there at the Royalton Hotel Suite with Puff Daddy and all the greasy chain-wearing black man. Oh yeah, Daddy, it feels kind of good. I didn't know I'd be so into this moment. Oh yo, I got a little bit of black in me too. I didn't tell you that.
Was what Sandra said. I was just like, are you for real? How did that even slide by? And I will say it here, complete racist. You don't say that. You are black. You have every right. You are working also in a professional capacity. And I just felt like, nah.
I was so upset, and there was nobody came to my rescue at that point, but whatever,
Look at these people who are now like, yes, this Black Lives Matters, but then let's really remember what you said, because those things will come back and haunt you.
Bernhardt belonged to a group who believed Mariah was exploiting her biracial identity to revamp her career, when in fact, she was finally free to pursue the sounds she wanted from day one. This underscores the lingering problem that Mariah had with the public: a simple lack of acceptance. Mariah's racial authenticity was always in question. So what would Mariah do in the face of such confusing duality? Major commercial success peppered with substantial criticisms. How would Mariah continue not to just survive but thrive while making music? In the next episode, we will explore Butterfly, the album where Mariah could finally take ownership not just of her music but of the portrayal of her image. Hi, I'm Diva Talk, and thanks for watching.